Und wir melden uns zurück. Hallo liebe Games.de Zuschauer. Ich bin hier gerade mit dem Executive Producer von Sea of Thieves, Joe Need. Nice to have you here. Ganz kurz noch zur Erklärung für alle, die es wundert. Joe Need ist Engländer, dementsprechend werden wir Englisch sprechen. I just explained that we will talk in English now.
Okay, great.
So nobody is confused.
Yeah.
If you're in our live chat, you can ask us questions. We have it on the display here. It's no problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk about Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
It's a pirate game.
It is indeed a pirate game, yes. That's it, yeah. But like, you know, in our view, it's kind of the pirate game that everyone's always wanted, I guess, right? You know, it seems like a really big genre, a big thing that there was really an opportunity to do something special in. And like, obviously we're at Gamescom now. A couple of months ago at E3, we showed the kind of first real adventure in Sea of Thieves, that you could show players going on adventure, solving riddle maps, kind of digging up treasure, getting back in your boat.
Where you rob the island, right?
Yeah. And but since then, we've been hard at work on a number of things actually. And so we've come to Gamescom. We've got an entirely new build here. And one of the things we announced the other day was that the entire game is going to be cross-play between Xbox One and PC. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, everyone playing together, which is like, we think that like anything we can do to bring down barriers in a multiplayer game like this and bring everybody into the same world is just, it makes so much sense. It's just a kind of seamless experience for Sea of Thieves. Like, you can't even really tell who's on what platform, and I love the fact that we're bringing those players together. And you know, we've got a really engaged community, an active community around Sea of Thieves that have been in our Insider program and playing the game in our alpha and stuff. And there are some people who are on Xbox and they've been playing on Xbox. So now some people on PC, they've been playing PC, but they've made friends in our community, but they've not been able to play the game together. But now this week, we're running a 5-day technical alpha, everyone at home, and they're playing crossplay for the first time. And so I'm loving, like, looking forward to when we get back to the studio. I'm going to have all of the telemetry, all of the data of like how many people play, how long did they play for, like what stats have we got between like mouse and keyboard versus controller and stuff. And yeah, it's just like a super exciting time for us. So.
And where the pros and cons are actually, because it's another feeling to play with the controller. I would actually think that Sea of Thieves would fit better for me on a controller, so I would take like Xbox.
Yeah, well, that's the beautiful thing. It's like it's up to players' choice, right? And because combat is obviously a part of Sea of Thieves, but it's not everything in Sea of Thieves, right? Like, it's a cooperative adventure, right, where you're exploring in this shared world, encountering other crews and stuff. And we actually did some early tests looking at kind of PC players versus Xbox players, their kill death ratio against skeletons, so we could kind of see how that was. PC players were 4.5% better.
Okay.
But we were like, actually, that's okay. That seems to be in a reasonable realm, right? And what's key for us is that it's actually how you operate as a crew, how you operate as a team, and the tactics and the strategy you use is actually what makes you successful or not just how quickly you can kind of turn or something. And so, but for the first time this week, we're really going to be able to test that out and find out in practice, and then we can take that data and go, okay, what do we need to tweak? What do we need to tune? But look, we are all in, because like having this rich variety of players, all in the same player base with all different motivations and play styles and everything else, will just make the game better, because the game is really enriched by who you play with, right?
Yeah.
Whether that's who's in your crew or who you encounter in the world, because the more varied players you have in the game, the more interesting and varied the encounters are going to be with other players, right? And so, yeah, it all makes sense just to have everybody together in one place.
So, is it more like an MMO or a pure co-op thing?
Yeah, so we call it a shared world adventure game.
Okay.
And the acronym for that is a swag, which we particularly like. You like your pirate puns, right? But,
yeah.
But and like we're doing some really clever stuff behind the scenes in the server technology.
Something you can't talk about?
Yeah, and I'll explain why. Because like what's most important for us is the frequency of encounters with other players in the world. So like it's all about, like, it's you go adventuring in the world. You want to be able to go and do whatever you want, whether that's just taking on different types of like pirate quests, or it's hunting down other players, or just exploring, whatever you want to do. You should be able to do that, but there's always got to be a chance of, like, when you see a set of sails on the horizon, you're like, oh wow, that's going to be another crew of people on their own adventure. And one of the things we've been testing in our alpha itself is that frequency of encounters with other ships, and so we actually took feedback from our players and changed the visibility that you could see other ships from like 1.7 kilometers to 2.5 kilometers.
Okay.
Because what players wanted, they wanted to be able to see ships from a further distance away, so they could then make a choice as to whether they could engage with them or not. Whereas when they were a bit closer, you almost
have to make rash decisions whether you
almost,
go or not.
Like, almost encouraged to kind of enter into combat or something. Whereas you want to be able to see a ship and be like, no, we're going to steer that way and kind of get away.
Actually, a question from PG Keys.
Yes.
PJ Keys. Is it possible to play co-op without online partners?
No. So it's no. But like the beauty of the crossplay, especially, is that really opens up the possibilities of kind of same room co-op. So like you could be on your laptop, I could be on the Xbox, on the TV, and we can all be playing together, right? And like, so that's our kind of vision for kind of at-home kind of cooperative play. But no, it's always a shared world. It's always online. That's because we believe so strongly in that vision of the stories that happen, the moments that happen when you encounter other players. And we see so many of them already in that Insider program. And like, genuinely, with a game like Sea of Thieves, because you've kind of got the players with all of their kind of the tools that we give them, the ship, the weapons, the musical instruments, the drinking, the
music, something I get very excited about actually.
Yeah, but we give players, you know, firing yourself out of cannons, all of these tools that we give players, that allows them to kind of express themselves and to kind of go on their journey and have emergent moments just naturally from the tools they've got. But then you have all of the kind of tools that we have in the world, so like storms as an example, or sharks or skeletons, like all of these things will then kind of mess with your adventure as it's happening. So whatever you set out to do will always kind of change. Like basically your adventure, it never plays the same, like, and you never kind of end up getting out of it what you were kind of planning to. It's always different, and that makes something really watchable, right? Okay. And like we've got an NDA in place at the moment on the alpha, but as we get closer to the initial kind of launch of the game, like we'll be lifting that NDA, and our players are like champing at the bit to actually be able to share their stories and share their videos, because it's so different, and it's like every single session you watch is interesting because you don't know what's going to happen, right? Like regardless of what someone is setting out to do.
Every player is a different kind of player. You have the more aggressive type and more passive types and everything. Yeah.
And like with Mixer, which is a really cool platform that Microsoft has now, they have 4-player co-streaming on that as well. And so you can actually watch an adventure of a crew from all the different perspectives. And it's actually really interesting to watch your own session and see what the other people in your crew were doing, because although you're on the same adventure, you all have different moments in that adventure, do you know what I mean? And all have different perspectives on the story, and it's you know, you can find yourself watching it for ages. So I genuinely think that's going to be how this game takes off. It's going to be the stories that players share, and like they'll become kind of legends in the game, legends in the community, because of the cool stories and the cool things that they've been up to.
Another question from the community. Sunshine Alley asked, can you tell me more about the ships? How many people can a ship take in, and are they upgradable? I mean, that's a big point.
So like, there's a few questions there. So the first one, the ship size that we've got in at the moment, it's up to 4 players, and we actually purposely want to keep that crew size fairly small and compact, because the bigger it gets, the more kind of disparate and spread out it gets. And it's like if you go to the pub with like 8 friends, you'll end up in like 2 groups talking to each other, right?
2 groups, and the other one gets lost. The other one is on the toilet and never be found again.
And we wanted to keep that bond between a crew really, really special. But we're also back at the studio at the moment. We're been prototyping our smaller ship, which is the second ship we're going to be putting into the game, which is suitable for like 1 to 2 players. And it's actually really, it's always online, so you're always in a shared world. But going into that on your own, on a smaller, slightly more vulnerable ship, you know, it's got better turning and everything else, but it's a bit slower. It's only got a couple of cannons. Like, you almost end up playing Sea of Thieves as a stealth game, you know, like going from island to island, keeping an eye out for that bigger sails on the horizon, and knowing maybe they haven't seen you when you see them because you're lower in the water.
It's a bigger risk.
Yeah, but it plays so differently, and it's like, but it's still Sea of Thieves, and it still has those really interesting encounters. And like what we see is you can kind of see maybe 2 smaller ships naturally almost team up when there's a bigger ship around, and act like a couple of wolves circling like a wildebeest or something, you know, like when they're hunting to take down a bigger prey. Yeah, and you see it not organically happen because you both know instinctively you're more vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
And so that's super cool. And obviously, like as the game grows and evolves, like we're going to keep updating this game, we're going to keep adding to this game, and so like in the future, definitely looking at more different types of ships, different types and everything. But like for now, like the core for us is to have that core kind of 4-player co-op, and then the smaller option for that kind of solo adventure. And then we'll look to see how and when we want to grow. And to the final question, it was about upgradable stuff, wasn't it? Yeah. So like. Our focus at the moment is all around our progression systems, is what we're working on right now. They're kind of the one missing piece from the game. And initially, all of that stuff, we're going after like the personal progression first. So all about
something I wanted to ask after.
Yeah. So what you look like, what you can earn, and however you choose to play in the game. If you kind of want to like become the most bloodthirsty pirate in the game, if that's your goal, right, and you want to be hunting down on the ships and stealing their stuff and everything, then that's cool. Like of course you'll be able to do that, but like you'll also be kind of rewarded for that. There'll be a way for the game rewarding you, and we're not quite ready to talk about the exact details because we want to show and tell.
Yeah.
But our approach to this is perfectly suited to the pirate world of Sea of Thieves, and also a game that's going to keep growing and evolving, because we won't have progression systems that you like play for 100 hours and then you finished and you're like, what do I do now? We'll always be looking to grow it and add that, so there'll always be different things to go and achieve.
Events and everything like that, right?
Yeah, and so, what you'll be rewarded for the way that you play, and then you'll be able to style your kind of pirate like that. So, like obviously, the rewards you'll get for being a bloodthirsty pirate will lead to you having some darker, grittier, kind of more fearsome clothes. So when you see somebody dressed like that, you know the way they've been playing, the way they've chosen to kind of style themselves in the game, and you'll be like, okay. And so then, like once we've kind of landed that personal progression stuff, that's when we're going to start looking at the ship stuff, because we know that people are really going to want to change the way that their ship looks, right, and have the figurehead on the front that they want, or the sails that really show up, and the flag and all that kind of stuff. So you know, it's personal progression first, and then it's the kind of the ship ownership part and the ship progression part, and that will come after. So
let's talk about the personal progression, because that's something I'm very interested in, because I'm always like, I'm the loot and level guy.
Okay.
So is there going to be like a level system, like a typical skill tree, or is it really just how you play is how your character is going to be?
It's more the latter. So it's definitely like how you play. It's like how good you get at using cannons will be how good you get at using cannons, right? So some people will be better on the wheel, some better on the cannon. But we never wanted to put a progression system in place that would almost separate players and alienate new players. Like really important for us. We always want, whenever you come, that this game it's a fun and welcoming multiplayer environment. But like our progression will be more horizontal in terms of like, if you're going to be getting different kind of cannonballs, for example, or different things for your cannon to fire, they'll all have their strengths and weaknesses, and it will be, so you'll earn the right to use different types, but then it's how do you kit stuff out, how do you choose to use them, and you know, like maybe it's one that's much heavier, but it fires a bit slower and it's a bit shorter range, but if you actually
you
do a lot of damage. And the same with our kind of guns and everything else. So there'll always be a choice, and players will be able to earn and they'll progress. But they'll always be balanced against each other, so it's all about your strategy and your choice, and it means that, like when you come into the game, first of all, you've still got the same chance as anybody else, right? And so someone that's been playing for 500 hours can happily play with someone that's new to it, and they can still have a great time together. Like we never wanted to put those barriers in place. Like with crossplay, everything is about just like bring down the barriers. Let's make a multiplayer game that like anybody who maybe even hasn't played multiplayer before is put off by like overly competitive games, or ones where there is a massive skill kind of learning curve instantly, you know, like a fighting game or an online shooter. Like you should be able to come into Sea of Thieves and almost have your first multiplayer experience, and because our player base is so positive and welcoming, like you're going to have a great time and you're going to make friends in our game. Like that's our goal.
Okay, so let's play it through. It's the first time I'm playing Sea of Thieves.
Yep.
I am alone. I have nobody to play with me.
Yep.
I'm starting in the game. What happened?
Yeah. So well, you've got a choice, right? So you can either set sail on the single player kind of.
Is there
ship.
like a hub world? Like,
sorry?
Is there like a hub world?
At the moment, no. Like the kind of the outposts and the world. Almost Sea of Thieves is the hub world right now.
Okay.
And like we have a roadmap through to like 2019, 2020 sort of thing for the game, right? Like that's as far as I can think of. It would go further, but that's like there's no point in planning that further because it'll all change. But we have this vision for how we're going to grow and service the game, but we are also very, very keen to be working with our player base and looking at what it is that they want to do. Of course, we still have our vision for the game, and that will remain solid and strong. We're not going to do something, change the game completely and make some massively kind of hardcore combat game that's all about competition. Like, it's like that's not the vision, right? We want this to be this fun, welcoming game, but we'll be looking at like if players are really clamoring for that kind of specific hub world, and we have seen feedback around some of the players going, "We'd love to have this." Like, then we have that, like, you know, on our roadmap. It's like, okay, where do we move it? Where do we put it? Like, do we bring it forward? And it's really exciting to be working that way because we've been doing it ever since the Insider program, and we've prioritized a bunch of different things as a result. Like on our PC version, we brought in push to talk a lot quicker because our players really wanted that. You know, it's like we've like balanced the skeleton AI and the difficulty of skeletons in the world based on player feedback and telemetry. So, like it's kind of hard for Sea of Thieves. Like early 2018 is kind of just the start of the adventure, right?
Okay.
And like. So I know exactly what we're planning to deliver for that point in time, and then I know what's in our like longer-term roadmap. And it's kind of hard to say no to anything, right? But it's like also hard. You don't want to be promising the world, but it's like. So jumping back to your question, actually, I think like you know the.
We start off.
Yeah. So the single player. So you can either go out on the single player ship, like into the world, and like learn how to play, because we never want a really convoluted tutorial, because we've designed this game for you to kind of just naturally understand. Like, first of all, you've probably got an idea of what you would want to do in a pirate world, right? And like,
I want to be a matey pirate.
Yeah, but because it's, you know, everyone's seen the films or they've read the books, they've grown up as a kid, and are dressing up as a pirate and stuff, and naturally, you're going to be able to figure out, like, when you're like on an island with a boat, how to get that sailing, because like naturally people kind of know there's probably an anchor somewhere that you need to raise, and then there's wind overhead, and like if I lower the sails, I'm moving, and now I've got the wheel, and like all of that stuff. It's really great to actually learn that, and you know there's no mini map, so you have to use the map that's on the ship's table, and then you have to use your compass and all that kind of stuff. So like we've tried to make it as natural and immersive in the world. It's like so. You'll just be able to come into Sea of Thieves and learn all of that stuff, and now I've spoiled it all for you, but like and then go out on adventure, like take on a quest, take on this quest or whatever. Or you could jump straight in and go for a 4-player ship, and you'll be match made either with strangers or with people in our community that you could have gone and met and made friends with. But because our game is designed to reward players equally and together, like, all of the rewards are shared when you're in a crew, so there's no incentive to kind of screw over each other and screw over your crewmates. Like, the bond in that crew is sacred. So, and we've already seen by testing in our alpha that this happens. Like, strangers play together in a positive way. Like, they help each other, they work together, they get rewarded together, and ultimately they become friends as well. And so, like, we've seen so many people in our community like actually adding each other as friends on Xbox Live and stuff. Like, there's a lady called Blondie But Geeky in our community. That's her kind of gamer tag. And she joined a few months ago, and since then, we've seen her play Sea of Thieves repeatedly, and she's, like, at the last count anyway, she had like 42 friends that would, in our telemetry, it was like, she's played Sea of Thieves with these players, and now they've added each other as friends. And like, there's a bunch of other people as well, like the next one's like got 36 and everything. And it's really great that we're creating this kind of social experience that is actually bringing players together and making friends, because games are escapism, right? And for us to be able to create a positive online environment that's welcoming and that actually like has people making friends together, I think that is so cool and so rewarding for us as developers.
So it's your responsibility if you want to play with someone or play on your own, because someone else in the chat just asked. I can't read it right now. He just asked if there's going to be like a single-player campaign. So actually not. You can play on your own, but that's not the bigger deal of the game.
Well, it's up to you. It's like, genuinely, like again, it's player choice, right? Yeah. So you'll be able to do either, but it's always solo play in a shared world. So, and you'll have a bunch of kind of goals you'll be trying to achieve and progression that rewards that and will reward people however they choose to play. So there are always goals to be going after, always things to achieve, but like the player's kind of campaign as such is to become a pirate legend in Sea of Thieves, and that's however they want, right? You could be the nicest, friendliest pirate that just plays a musical instrument with everybody else and like and just share videos of that all the time and become like a legend in our community. That's great, but you know, that's the goal for players, right? It's like become a legend, and however you want that legend to be in the game.
If you want to play as a lone wolf, you can do that. If you want to have your own crew with your friends, you can do that.
Yes.
That's actually pretty cool, and I'm way excited about the music because you talked about it twice.
Yes.
So it is possible just to pick up an instrument and be like,
yes.
Yo ho, yo ho, pirate for me.
Yeah. So the kind of the best thing about the musical instruments is that they actually, if you start playing an instrument and I start playing an instrument, they sync up together, the music. So they start playing the different parts of the tracks together. And some of the things I've seen when I've been playing with players in our alpha, like I go in not telling anyone who I am, and they're like, oh, like, are you new to the game? Do you want some help? And I'm like, oh yeah, thanks, that's great. But like we were sailing with these guys and they was playing their instruments, but then one of them got out the shovel that you normally use for digging and basically just started hitting it on the floor like this, and it was like basically using it as a percussion instrument.
Yeah.
And because if you hit it on wood, it sounds different to if you hit it on metal, and he was just kind of timing it like, and they were all playing, and I was just like, this is amazing, and I started doing it, and now it's actually started spreading through the community, and I've never even thought of using the shovel like that, but I love that we just have players experimenting with our mechanics and with things and discovering new things to do with them. It's super cool. I love that creativity.
So last question, because our time is almost up, because you talked so much about the community, and before the stream you told me it's possible to get inside the community at
it's seaofthieves.com/insider.
Okay.
So yeah, it's our insider program. Go and sign up for that. Everybody will get a chance to play prior to release, and we're always adding new people into the alpha as we move forward. We just added 20,000 in for Gamescom, for example. So
great.
yeah.
So I will post that in the live chat right now, later on, where you can find where you can be a part of the Sea of Thieves community.
Yes.
Great, because I will sign up.
Awesome.
I will play this game.
Yes.
I really want to. That's so nice. So it's for Xbox, it's for the PC version. If you want to be a pirate, now's your chance.
Absolutely, yeah. Just come on in, join the community. It's a great place to be. So,
thank you very much for the interview.
No, thank you. It was
nice
great
to have you here. Wonderful
Cheers,
Gamescom.
man. Thank you.